Thank you. You've been very generous.
Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know about you all, but the last 30 minutes, what I heard was a perfect script for a great movie. What do you say? I mean,
Here's the book for you.
thank you. Here's what is totally awe-inspiring is what the right term is. We've had several keynotes all day long. I mean, there's chatter at that end, chatter at that end. I could hear pin drop. I mean, it was just amazing. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Few things about the man here. He spoke about, his background, his hard work, persistence. I mean, this is amazing. And then he's done very well in business, giving back. The question I have for you is, you accomplished a lot, and you've written a book, but an important piece here is mentoring. We would like to see a few Sam Pitrodas here in the U.S., all over the world.
I'm sure they're there. I'm sure they're there in their own way. But I'm just one guy. I'm just an ordinary guy. I do my thing. I have my own limitations. I work with a lot of young people. I don't have time for individual mentoring, really. But I'm always available. So as soon as I got an invitation to come speak here, I decided to come. My wife said, "Why are you wasting your time? Why do you want to go there, spend a whole day?" I said, "No, I need to go." So I do my little bit. Not that I do everything right. So I'm delighted to be here. And I'm glad, I could interact with you. So thank you.
I know you've inspired a few hundred here, but there are several thousand that probably will hear it and see it on YouTube and so on. But really, I mean, this needs to be proliferated, your thoughts, your experience. And I hope there's somebody here that's in the business of making movies. I would highly recommend picking up the script and talking to Sam. You talked about quite a few things, and I could, if I had to use adjectives, I'd say you're bold. Your business acumen is outstanding, hardworking, persistent. You're a visionary, and there's also a romantic aspect when you left your girlfriend in India, and then you said you cut your education short to bring her over here.
Married for over 50 years.
What is next? I mean, I know you're involved with a few nonprofits, but beyond, I mean, that's a huge give back to the world. I mean, what specifically, what do you expect?
I don't know. I really don't have good answers, because I'm not a social scientist, political scientist. I don't know. I'm just a little guy who does his own thing to get his kicks. But I must say, Gandhian ideas had great influence on me, personally. I was too young at that time. So somehow, after independence, there was this Gandhian fervor in the atmosphere. So when we were growing up, it was always about doing things for others and not for yourself. Only weak people do things for themselves. That's what we were told. That if you're strong, you got to do it for others. Okay?
Amazing.
Saying you can always do things for yourself. So what's the fun? That's boring. That somehow stuck in the mind. Saying, okay, what do you do with, for example, I never go shopping in my life. My wife does all my shopping, shoes, suits, everything. I don't go to movies. I don't go to parties. I don't attend weddings. I have no time. So if I had money, what would I do with it? Okay. So I'd rather be working and doing things and interacting with friends and family and enjoy. That's where I get my kicks. I don't get my kicks by buying, something fancy. It doesn't really mean to me much. Now, I'm not saying I'm right and you're wrong. Okay, but that's what we were taught. So that's what we stuck to. Okay. I mean, I have this argument with my own son. And my son said, Dad, you should have made billions. All your flunkies made billion. And I said, Salil, it didn't interest me. Because I know that I can always make money. So it all depends on how you look at life. And everyone is right in their own way. I'm not saying one is right and one is wrong. You got to decide on your own journey. We all have different journey. There are 8 billion people with 8 billion different journeys. My wife had a different journey. And that's why there are 8 billion stories to tell in life. We are all different. We are all good. We all mean well. We all want to help each other. How do we build a world which is really connected? Today we are not connected. I mean, I very strongly believe that the 9/11 is a response to lack of connectivity. We automatically isolate people, say, oh, you're bad, you're no good, you're this, you're different. It's not true. Give them a chance. Everybody wants to do good. Everybody wants to help. Somehow you just don't get the chance. That's what we were taught in Gandhian values. And maybe it worked for me and maybe it doesn't work for somebody else,
Just one more question regarding connectivity. Do you anticipate connectivity to change the lives of people? You mentioned about south side of Chicago. 50 years, it hasn't changed.
Absolutely. Connectivity is going to change this world in a way no one had ever thought about before. I predict a day where 4-year degree program from college would be obsolete. If I was to build a university of tomorrow, it will not look like Harvard or MIT or Stanford campus or Ann Arbor. It will be a totally different campus idea. I don't need to go to college to study. I can study on my own. If I'm motivated to learn, if I'm a self-learner, what do I need all this stuff for? I don't need to spend $200,000 to get an MBA. But that's how we have built the systems. Some clever guy said 4 years to get a degree. The entire world takes 4 years. Indians take 4 years, Japanese take 4 years, Chinese take 4 years, Americans take 4 years. Why? We need to question all of that. We need to question the model of governance. How do we govern today? Give you a simple example. Judiciary. In India, we have 32 million court cases pending today. It takes 10 years to get justice. Even in America, it takes a long time to get justice. With all this internet technology, why can't I get justice in 2 months? I don't understand. Okay. So you need to question every little thing. And I keep saying that everything we do today is basically obsolete. If we were to redesign the world, assuming that internet is here, how would we do it? What we are doing today is we have this world and we are using internet to do the same thing. As opposed to saying, since we have internet, can we do new things? That is the key question we haven't asked properly. So you use internet to improve education. Nobody says, scrap this education. I don't need to spend $250,000 to get an MBA. I can get an MBA for $1,000. Can't do it because there are too many vested interests. You got to fight them. So I think world is ready for a new design. But not enough people are talking about it because the conversation today is about the same old stuff. There is no new conversation. Okay, we need new conversation in this world. Connectivity was the biggest event in the history of mankind. Biggest event in the history of India. Nobody said, time out. Think about it. All of a sudden the world is connected. What do we do now? As opposed to saying, our world is connected, continue to do the same thing you have been doing. That is the challenge. I am saying you got to stop. Saying, my God, what a great event took place all of a sudden. All 8 billion are connected. All billion in India are connected. Now let's see, what do we do? How do we redo things? That is a major challenge.
Thank you. Personal note, I think, but for you, we probably wouldn't have this session because I didn't know until today that you were not just the father of telecom, but you also initiated the software revolution in India. How about a big round of applause for that? We wouldn't be here but for the man.
We in those days, we took Unix from here, C++ from here. I took people from Bell Lab to come to India and teach us C++ and all that. This was 84. Okay. And we trained large number of people. I'll give you one last interesting example. I was sitting with Rajiv Gandhi, it's in the book, and we get a call from Reagan, President Reagan. And Rajiv Gandhi was a little bit disturbed, so I said, what happened? He said, well, US has decided that they will not give us supercomputer because we will use it for nuclear research. So I said, so what? He said, what do you mean? I said, we'll design our own supercomputer. I had no idea what I was saying, but I had to say it. So he said, what would it take? I said, 36 months. How much it will cost? I said, $40 million. He said, okay, go do it. Immediately next morning, started talking to all the scientists and everybody, and set up in Pune, Center for Development of Advanced Computing, CDAC. Bhatkar. We hired Bhatkar. I was chairman for 7 years. Anyway, so we took 400 young kids in Pune, and we designed India's first supercomputer from scratch. CDAC. People don't know. People don't read. Once it is done, everybody says, so what, we're done. Which is fine. But there are lots of things like this that got done in those days. Polio got eradicated in India because in 1986, we started a mission on immunization. So I was head, Jairam Ramesh was my chief of staff. And we realized, Jairam and I, that we have largest number of polio patients in the world in India. And India does not make polio vaccine. I said, this is funny. So we called 70 experts on immunization, all the doctors, Jacob Jones and all these key guys. Put them in one room and said, look guys, I want answer to polio vaccine. Because there was injected polio and there was oral polio. And the debate was going on in the country. Some people said we should have injected polio, some said we should have oral. And then I said, I want to make polio vaccine. Everybody said, cannot be done. So I said, Jairam, let's send a team to Russia, Soviet Union then, because we used to deal with Gorbachev. I had spent 1 hour with Gorbachev. And I said, let's send a team to Mario in France. We sent 2 teams, one to France, one to Soviet Union, come back, and I said, we're going to make polio vaccine in India. We started blending. Today, India is the biggest vaccine producer in the world. Okay. Nobody knows, nobody understands how it happened. But the general impression is because somebody like some actor is giving polio vaccine, they think, he did all the polio vaccine job. It's okay, that's all right, as long as it got done.
So thank you very much.
Thanks.
This thing. Thank you.